Well, we start this hour with trade, and South Africa is pushing back against the new 30% tariff unilaterally imposed by US President Donald Trump. In an official statement, the presidency said the tariff is not an accurate reflection of existing trade data. Pretoria confirmed it has received correspondence from President Trump and vows to continue pursuing diplomatic channels. South Africa says it remains committed to building a fair, mutually beneficial trade relationship with the United States. President Cyril Ramaphosa has urged government negotiators and local companies to speed up efforts to diversify export markets. The comments come amid wider US tariff actions affecting several BRICS countries, fueling fresh global trade tensions. Well, joining us to discuss this statement from South Africa and the wider ramifications of Trump's new tariff action, Rabinda Sachdeva, a foreign affairs expert who is joining us from New Delhi. Rabinda, let's first look specifically at South Africa and the response to Trump's new announcement and new tariffs that are set to be imposed on August the 1st. He is talking about Cyril Ramaphosa, trade data, and the fact that Trump's 30% tariff doesn't match that. Do you think that's across the board, or is this an isolated situation between the US and South Africa?
Well, it certainly seems to be across the board with several countries, if that's the question you have. Regarding South Africa, yes, on the one hand, nobody is able to, unpack how the Trump administration is imposing or calculating the tariffs it imposes, right? That's one. But secondly, with respect to South Africa, it's not only the tariffs, and actually it reveals that Trump is using tariffs also along with geopolitical goals. You see, with South Africa, he has been unhappy that white Afrikaners are facing genocide. That's what America claims, that's what Trump claimed, right, when the president met him. And he's been pressuring them to, roll back those laws, reforms that the South African government is contemplating. In fact, America has given refugee status to around, I think, 70 white Afrikaners who come to the US as refugees. Okay, so that's one big beef that the Trump administration has with South Africa. The other beef they have with it is that South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice. Right. So those are two very specific aspects which are out there. And sure, now coming to the issue of the numbers and economics and the trade part of it, the US is imposing for their own calculation whatsoever. And Ramaphosa is correct in that sense that he is, as any, I think what the South African president is saying is something which I think every leader in the world is thinking and doing today. That is thinking of diversifying your supply chains and your trade exchanges wheresoever you may explore. So what Ramaphosa is saying that, sure, they're diversifying. It would hurt South African business, no doubt, if these tariffs come into play. But on the other hand, Ramaphosa is saying that they're open to discussions. They have a negotiation ongoing with the Trump government, Trump administration. So let's see what comes of that. But big picture overall is that Trump is, proceeding ahead with his tariffs, one. And secondly, in many cases, his tariffs are also reflecting or, mixed with geopolitical interests and geopolitical aims. In the case of South Africa, it is the so-called, or perhaps, let's say, there is some discrimination, no doubt, but Trump is taking it to one extreme, that genocide. So that white genocide is one. And the second is that South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice. So it's a little bit of a payback time also.
Broadly now, Trump's announcement that the tariff deadline has been extended from the 9th of July to the 1st of August. Is this Trump acknowledging that the timeframe he gave wasn't long enough for several countries, up to 14, which have now been sent letters about trade duties? Is it an acknowledgement and maybe Trump admitting that him trying to push through countless trade deals in just a 90-day period was a step too far, and understanding that negotiations are also still ongoing?
Yeah, sure, it's a reflection of that. But you see, the bottom line is that Trump has managed to increase the bottom line tariffs into America, right? Before the Trump tariffs started, the weighted average of the imports coming into America, the duty was averaged at around 2.5%. When Trump started throwing out numbers, 20%, 30%, 100%, etc., right? And then he said, okay, fine, for some time, base 10%. The world was happy. Oh, it's come down to 10%, that's it. Okay, and now it's about, okay, beyond 10, 25, 30 with South Africa, whichever country, India, we will see what. So the world is assuming and taking the 10% to be normal, right? So whatever will emerge, once it averages out with respect to America, sorry, the import duties would have definitely gone up more than 10% because somewhere it's 25, somewhere it's 20, somewhere 15, somewhere 40. Whatever rolls out, it's okay. And in any case, right now, the US Treasury is collecting 10% tariffs for the past 90 days, which is more than the 2.5% it was usually collecting.
Yes, Rabinder Sachdev, if you stay with us, we will come back to reactions